let's get started. First, we're going to create a new document within Adobe Illustrator. Hit the New button. And here it's going to bring up the window that you can type in all your specifics into what size and everything you want your document to be. So we are going to start out with a square artboard, and I, just out of habit, have been doing 8 inches by 8 inches. At this point we only need one artboard to start with. We don't need any bleed. We do want to make sure color mode is RGB since we're going to be posting these graphics online. Anything online should be RGB. And then you can hit create. And we have our artboard. Just going to zoom out a little bit. So to start with, think of this first artboard as your template for your graphics. You know, it's popular and probably a good idea to brand your graphics in some sort of way, whether that be with your website URL or your logo, or any feature that you want carried through all of your graphics. We're going to put on this first artboard. So I'm going to set up my graphics today for one of my clients. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up their logo from my library. Sophia. We're going to work on some Sophia graphics today, so I am going to go ahead and copy, which is Control-C, and paste that Control-V into my new document. And you can put your logo wherever you want. We're going to keep Sophia down at the bottom and centered for all of our graphics today. And like I said, go ahead. If you have other elements, design elements that you want to carry out throughout all your graphics, go ahead and add them now. Think of this as the template. Now we're going to set up our layout. So if you want to go to Window and Artboards, here is a list of what we currently have for artboards, which right now is only one. But what we want to do is rename our artboard before we get started. And I'm just going to call this Sophia. You can name it whatever you want. It's just going to help us out later in the end to be all organized. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of this artboard. And we're going to go over here to the left and use the Artboard tool. You can kind of see it has a little crosshair on it, and when you click on it, it highlights your artboard. It also shows you the name up here in the left-hand corner, 01 Sophia. So you know that that's your first board. Now to make a copy of this board, you're going to do a key command. You're going to hold down, first you're going to click on it with your mouse, and then you're going to hold down Shift Control Alt. I'm on a PC. The Apple key would be in there if you're on a Mac. But you're going to hold down those 3 keys, and then you're going to slide your artboard over, and there you have a copy. And see up here, it made Artboard 02 Sophia copy, and that also shows up over here. Now we're going to go through and copy some more boards, because in essence however many artboards you create is how many graphics you're going to end up with at the end. And I like to set mine up in rows of 3 because I do a lot of posting to Instagram, and this way I can get a feel for what my graphics are going to look like all laid out on my Instagram feed, which is important in Instagram. So I'm just going to go through and make my artboard copies. I'm probably just going to stick with 9 boards for this training, just so that it doesn't get that we don't go overboard. But you can you can make as many boards as you want. If you want to set up your graphics for the whole month, and that means 30 graphics because you post once a day, then go ahead and make 30 artboards. The more you do, the more you're saving time. But we're just going to keep it to 9 today. So now we have our artboard set up. Now we're going to go, I already made a list of some quotes that I use for Sophia. I just kind of have an ongoing list that I go from. So I'm going to go in here and copy and paste 6, 7, 8, 9, the first 9 quotes that I haven't used yet. And I'm going to go ahead and copy those. So now we're going to go to the text tool back in our layout here, and we're going to draw a text box. Doesn't matter how big. And we are going to paste that text into the box. Now this is all the quotes, and obviously we only want 1 quote per art box, but first we're going to create a link for our text. So what we want to do is, if you can see this little red square that appears down here, we're gonna hit that square and then see how the cursor changed. That means it's going to link your text. So we're going to move over to our next artboard, and we're going to draw a text box. There we go. And see this line? It's telling you that this text box is linked to this text box. So the cool thing about this is that we can now, if we slide up the bottom of our first one, see how it's pushing all that text over to the next box, which is exactly what we want. So there we go. We got just 1 quote on the first one. Now we have to do the same thing over here. So we're going to hit the red box, and we're going to draw a text box on the next artboard. There we go. And we're going to slide this up. And we're going to repeat this process. Now you'll see that red box doesn't automatically appear here because the end of the text is right here. It doesn't have anything additional. So in order to create that box for us to link, we're going to slide this up because we only need this 1 quote here. Okay, so we're just going to quickly go through and create our boxes. Go, slide that up till the box appears. Perfect. Slide that up. Relink. And way too much on this one. There we go. Don't worry about what's in there right now. We're just linking. So there we go. Draw your box. Still a little short on text. Drag. Perfect. Okay. And the last one here. Okay, so we have all of our text linked, but now in order to work with this a little bit easier, I'm going to just go back to the first one. I'm going to do a Control A so it selects all the font, and I'm just going to bump this up some because it's just too small to work with right now. Okay, now we're going to go through and format, make sure that there's just 1 quote on each square. So there's the first one. You can kind of tell. Here's the second one, and you know what? I'm gonna, as long as I'm doing this too, I'm gonna work on where I want the line breaks to be. Human resources isn't a thing. There should be a line break there. Okay. There. I like that line break better. Let's see, you need to have a perfect, and just to get a better visual, I'm going to move some of these down. Let's go ahead. Oops. Pull this one out. And I'm gonna drop this text down. There we go. Because I just want these two lines, or I want this all on separate lines. There. Okay. Now we're gonna fix that. There we go. So obviously this part is sort of a personal preference. You know, I like my line breaks a certain way. I feel like commas should be at the end. And so if I need to adjust font size to make it flow right, that's what I'm going to do. Drop that down. There we go. Almost everything can be. But I'm going to do a hard return there. Perfect. There. And at this point, still don't worry about font. I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to change all that. And as I'm going through this, just to tell you some additional information, if I can work and talk at the same time. This also works not only super good for social media graphics, but this really works good for blog graphics too. Any kind of graphics that you want to all be the same size or have a standard size, a standard look and feel, like for instance your blog graphics. I know for Pinterest they have to be a certain size, and if you are one of those people that plans out all your content for, you know, like, and you know ahead of time what you're going to be blogging about for the month, then why not sit down for half an hour and get all your blog graphics prepared in this same way with your logo, with the same, you know, standard look and feel to them. If you add graphics, then you can see, you can add your graphics in here. By graphics I mean photos, if you use like flat lay photos or something, and you have them all together on these awesome artboards so you can see visually that they all flow and that they all have the same standard look and feel. And plus you'll get them all done in a matter of 30 minutes instead of every time you post a blog, you open up a new document, you export, you know, instead of just get it all done in one shot. It's the best way. So, okay, I must have doubled up a quote here somewhere because I'm missing one, but never hire. Well, we're gonna leave them like this for now, and I must have just not copied the right amount. So we're gonna just copy and paste this one over here. Okay, so we have them broken out into separate boards quite easily. And now, since they're looking pretty good, I'm going to go ahead and separate them out now into separate text boxes because they're a little bit easier to work with that way and we don't get these blue lines all over the place. So select all your linked text boxes and then you're going to go to type and this little option here, convert to point type. There. Now they are all separate little text boxes. Still fully editable. You can do whatever you want with them. You can still tweak them, but you can work with them individually now that we have them basically laid out where we want them. So let's just say we want to try some different fonts. Maybe you have a standard brand font and you started with that to begin with, or maybe you didn't. Whatever the case, I'm going to show you a really fast way to change all the fonts on your document, on your artboards. If you go to type and then find font, this top part is telling you the fonts that you currently are using in all your artboards in your entire document. So it looks like mine, of course, since I didn't change it, it's just my default font, Myriad Pro. And I want to use the standard Sophia brand font, which is avant-garde. So what I'm gonna do is change it. It must have already known I was going to do this because it landed right to it. But this bottom part, this is all your fonts in your system. So you can change it out at any point. I'm going to do an avant-garde, and I want not a condensed, just standard. So here is an avant-garde Gothic standard. And then you can do change all in there. Did you see that? It just changed all the Myriad Pro font to avant-garde. All right, so now we're done. Click that. Now, sometimes when you change fonts around, it does, because some fonts are wider, take up more room, you might have to go back in here and tweak your formatting. So I am going to just fix up a couple of these so that they look a little bit more like I like them. That one still looks fine. This one we're just going to shrink a little bit. That one looks good. Those look good. This one we need to shrink. Perfect. Okay, this one's looking kind of weird to me, so I think I just need to shrink this font. There we go. Cool. Okay, now we can also change this color. Oops. And you know what? I'm gonna do, let's see, I'm gonna get my library back up here so I have my Sophia colors. And I'm just going to change some of these to be the Sophia colors. Okay. Okay. There we go. Obviously, you can do this however you want to. I'm doing this very quickly. I don't know if I would actually send these out like this. I usually do a few more things, like, you know, if you want to add background color, you just have to use your little rectangle tool over here, draw a color behind it. I'm going to do the gray, and then you can send that box to the back. Because the Sophia logo is transparent, it needs to be on white. So make that a little bit more readable. There we go. I still don't like how that line break is. Perfect. Okay, so then you could, if you wanted to get artistic, you could add this background to every other square to kind of give it that artistic Instagram look. You know, it'll keep a consistent look, but add a little diversity. So do that just for fun. Okay, I hope you're still with me because we still have one key thing to go over here. One key time-saving trick. I don't like that. There we go. Okay, cool. Okay, this is the big time saver. Now, we're gonna go to our artboard window again. So window, artboards. Now, instead of going through and naming each one of these individually after you, or doing a save as and saving each individual graphic, you can export these out all at the same time and have them all named the way you want them when you press the button. And how you do that is by naming your artboard. So if we were to export these right now, you would come out with 9 separate JPEG files, and they would be named these names over here, exactly to a T, these names. So this is where those OCD organized people could really have some fun. If you want to name these like the month, the day, and the time that you post these, that would be one possibility. So then when you go into your posting scheduler, you can just, right away without thinking when you have to post these graphics to, or schedule the graphics to post. I just like to do the name of my client, the month. So let's say these are going to be for January, and then I would just do 01. And then I'm going to select that. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to double click on the artboard below and paste, make that 2. And paste 3. So on and so forth. I'm just going to do this really quickly so you can see. And why my screen keeps changing is when you double click on one of these, it will bring you to that artboard, so you know exactly which artboard you're referring to over here. Like I said, if you are super organized and have a better way to do this, go for it. I am just not, and this is the system that works for me. But you can name these however you want. So there's my 9 graphics, social media graphics for Sophia. And now that I'm zoomed in here, I can see that I need to shift this over. And don't worry if your backgrounds spill over the edge like this, because when these export, it's only gonna show, like, it's gonna crop it out wherever the edge of the artboard is. That will be the edge of your image. This is just for bleed. It doesn't show on your final image. So now that we have things set up, laid out like we want them, nice and pretty, keep jumping around here, sorry. And we have our artboards labeled so that our files are labeled how we want them when we export. Now we're ready to export. So we are going to go to File. We are going to go to Export, and we are going to export for screens. Again, since this is social media, it's all on screen. There's all of our pretty graphics right here. So let's say that you exported these and you wanted to, or you came in and edited just one of them, and you don't really need to resave all of them. You can control which one it exports by checking or unchecking these. So right now, since we haven't exported any of them, we want them all selected because we want Illustrator to export all of these for us. So, and that is what is selected over here, all, or you can select your range. And now we're going to tell it where to export. And we are going to pick the Sophia folder because save me a step later, Sophia social media. Let's do a new folder, test. There we go, select. You can save these wherever you want. Again, if you're organized, more power to you. I like to check this box, open location after export, just because it will automatically pop them up. You can double check them, make sure they saved like you wanted them to. It's just a nice way to double check. And then for formats, I do a 2 times, a scale of 2 times. I don't do any suffix. And then my JPEG is JPEG 100 for format. There's different formats here. Play around. If you have a different system that you use normally, feel free to use it. This is just what I use. So now with the push of a button, here we go, export artboards. Voila, we have our beautiful social media graphics right here. They're all named and sized appropriately. All you have to do now is go into your schedule program, if you use one, and load it up. So you can see, I mean, we only did 9, and I'm guessing this has maybe so far been about 30 minutes, and that's me actually explaining to you how to do everything. So imagine, you could do your whole social media feed very, very quickly. I bet spend way less time on it than you do now, just because Adobe Illustrator has so many great tools for making it efficient. So I really hope that you can make use of this. And like I said, these will be great for Pinterest, making your blog graphics all look cohesive and looking nice on Pinterest. Anywhere. There's so many different ways that you could use this. I really hope that I was able to save you some time and teach you a few new tricks.